Good morning, everyone. Hope you're keeping well. Speakers for today's Tech Talk session is Didula Disanayaka and Amila Pereira. They will be speaking on React and life cycle. Over to Didula.
Okay, thank you. Today, Amila and me, Didula, also going to talk about the React and life cycle. And Facebook has released up to the version 17, and today's session is mainly focused on the version 16.4 because that is one of the commonly used version in nowadays. Compared with the previous version prior to the 16.4, there are slight changes in the API levels related to the life cycle. Some of APIs had been replaced to enhance the performance and security concerns. But next version 17 has the major changes in the lifecycle API with a huge enhancement with the introduction of the functional component and hooks. It has been made easy for the development. Actually, what is the React? React is a declarative, efficient, flexible JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It is developed by Facebook and it lets you to compose the complex UIs from small and isolated pieces of code called component. Each component maintains a separate dataset. With each data change, React has capability to update efficiently and render the right component. React has its own virtual DOM mechanism in addition to the real DOM. Therefore, some major operations of the real DOM are managed by the virtual DOM in an efficient manner. Hence, React is fast compared to the general web application. And in my last session, I have already explained about how React is performed efficiently with the virtual DOM. So, I'm not going to speak about that. Components are the building blocks of any React app. And a typical React app will have many of these. When we are developing the application, first of all we need to identify how the components should be there, and we can reuse the component. So we can define the common component and we can use the separate component. Component is a JavaScript class of function that optionally accepts the inputs and returns a React element that describes how the section of the UI should be appear. It means how it explains how the user interface should be appear. Each component has a render method. It describes the UI to be drawn with the provided data. This one is component. If you are developing the web application, we have to use the HTML element. So we can write the HTML part or particular UI part within the render method inside the component. Here, how data is managed in the component. When component has two major items to store the data, those are state and the props. What is the state? State contains the data specific to the component that may change over the time. The state is user defined and it should be a plain JavaScript object. State is immutable. If you are going to update the state directly, it is not possible. So we have to call the setState to update the particular state of property. Other one is props. Props are defined by the call to the particular component. See how this one. If we write the component and within that component we can use the child component. So we need to pass the value from parents to the child component. For that purpose, we can pass the props. It is a one-way flow. When the parent change the particular property, it will be reflected in the child component. But if we are going to update the particular property within the child component, it is not reflected in the parent component. To handle that situation, we have to use event to transfer the data back to the parent component or any other mechanism. Like sometimes we have to third-party mechanism to store some data. These are the lifecycle methods: constructor, static get derived state from props, render, component did mount, should component update, get snapshot before update, component did update, component will unmount. Some of methods are commonly used, but some are used very rarely. Very rare, the should component update and the get snapshot before update are very rarely used. And if we are using those items, we have to be careful very much. Okay, next I'm going to speak about the one by one. First one is the constructor. Constructor is like a normal constructor in the normal other application. The constructor for the React component is called before it is mounted. Typically, React constructors are used for two purposes. One thing is initializing the local state by assigning the object to the state, and the next thing is binding the event handler. I will give few small description about these items. Within the if we want to initialize the state at the initially, so we have to handle it within the constructor, and at this point we can assign directly the state, but out of the constructor we can't use the assigning the value to the state directly. We have to use set state function method to update the particular state. And the event handler, let's assume in the component application, within the component we have a button and it has a button click event, but we can write the button click event and do the particular operation inside the component, but it is when you deploy the application, the clicking action is not working properly because the button event, the click event is not linked with the current executed component. So when you're doing a normal application, we can say when the class or something is initialized, we can use this to access that one. So same way, the handler event is not binded, so we have to bind within the constructor. That is the thing. And when you are calling if you are using a constructor, we have to call to the super constructor also. So to make it, reason is if we didn't use the super call, then the React component functionality is not applicable properly, because the in parent component, when we are writing the React component, we have to extend from the parent class, parent component. React has a React component, that is the parent one. If we didn't use the super, the particular component did not get the capability of the parent class. And the next thing is render. This is the only required method in the class component. It keeps the output of UIs to be displayed as the given input. Each UIs can be defined in JSX format, hence it has been easy to read the code. So developer can write the UI as HTML. So that is the capability called JSX. Other one is component did mount. It is invoked immediately after component is mounted. It is executed once. It is not executed with each data change or re-rendering process, because it is similar to the loading functions in the normal HTML page. And what is the advantage of using this one? If you need to load the data from the remote endpoint, this is a good place to instantiate the network request. Let's assume we want to load the employee list from the backend. So we need to call to the backend API. So if we can use the triggering the API within this method. Next one is the component did update. It is invoked immediately after updating occurs. This method is not called for the initial render, and this is executed when the data is updated. So, and the next notice, very important thing is component did update will not be invoked if the should component update returns false, unless it will be an infinite execution. Reason is we have a separate method, a lifecycle method called should component update. It is a very rarely used one. If it indicates whether the component should be updated or not, or to be rendered, to be displayed. So if it is false, means it avoid calling to that function. But by default, the particular method should component update returns a true. So it means the rendering should be there, happen. So when each render happen, component did update will be executed if the update particular props is available. And so then I said infinite execution will be happen. How? When the update thing happens. Let's assume I will take one scenario. I have entered the birthday as a props. So when the props is updated, we have to calculate the age and display. The age is stored in the state. Initially props is updated with the birthday, then it do the rendering, then identify props is updated. The component did update is called. So then it identify the state is we can use the state calculation within that one. But then again state is updated. Then the component do the rendering again. Then again come to the component did update, because it doesn't care whether the update is restricted or not. So we have to handle it properly inside our application, inside the component did update method. So then the state of the age is updated, then it's come into the did update. So within that one we have only the calculation part only. So then it will calculate again and assign it again. Then likewise it will be infinite. To avoid that one, we have to write own mechanism. I will give a simple example that most of the developers are used. So when the particular date is updated, the date is stored in a normal local state also. So then component did update have executed, it calculates the age and state is updated. When we are going to, before calculating the age, we have to verify the current date is similar to the previous date. If it is previous, if it is similar to the previous one, we should not calculate that one. That is the way we can use that one. It is depend on the developer's approach, but I said the one of the common way the most of the developer use, and how we are going and how to avoid the infinite execution. The next thing is some people use a static get derived state from props instead of this method. It has the performance advantage. Component will mount. Component will mount is invoked immediately before the component is unmounted and destroyed. It does perform any necessary cleanup in this method. So, and if we need to let's assume subscription concept, if we need to unsubscribe the particular thing, so we can call to the we can call that one within the component unmount, because after that when the particular container component will will not be used, that it will be executed. And the next important thing is there is no use to update the state, because re-render is not happening again when this one is executed. Next one is the should component update. It is invoked before rendering when new props or state are being received. It returns the boolean value. Default is set to the boolean value that is true. It default behavior of the React app is to re-render with each state or props change, but some data are not required to be displayed with changes. At this moment, this method can be used to manage re-rendering process. My suggestion is to avoid this method if possible. And finally, I can say that developer can ignore this method if the state and the props are processed properly with each change in most common use cases, unless it will cause to the malfunctioning. Derived state from props. It is a static function. It is invoked right before the call in the render method, and both on the initial mount and the subsequent update. And it should be return the object to update the state, or null to if nothing to update. This is better to use when compared to component did mount. Earlier I said some developers are using this function instead of the component did update. Reason is component did update is triggered after the rendering happened, but this one executed before the rendering. So advantage is when if you take the same example, date and the age situation calculation to when to update the age, there should be a 2 rendering process happen. Cycle should be happen, but because the component did update executed after each render, but here this function is executed prior to the render method. So advantage is when we receive the property update, so then we can calculate the age and assign to the state. So when the render functions is going to execute it has both updated value. So it reduces the one cycle again. So it means when compare the particular scenario with one render cycle can update this birthday and the age. That is the advantage. And this is next one is the get snapshot before the update. It is invoked right before the most recently rendered output is committed to the DOM. It enables your component to capture some information from DOM before it is potentially changed. Any value returned by the lifecycle will be passed as a parameter to the component did update method. But actually this is a very rarely used one, and they have personally I haven't used that one except the one situation. So next I'm going to explain how the lifecycle method executed in each stage. When the component is executing, it has 3 major stages. One item is mounting, other one is updating and unmounting. Mounting means similar to the loading. Update means any state or property update or change scenario. Unmounting is it will be destroyed. It means sometime we close the particular composite screen, that way. Just type of component will not long displayed in the browser. When the first I take the first stage in the mounting one. This is the initial stage. When it's called, the constructor is called, and then the get derived state from props is executed. And the next one is render, and finally it called component did mount. Updating one, other one is, and at this moment constructor is not required called, because a constructor is executed once, and the get derived state from props are executed, and we can calculate whether a props is updated or if the process is updated, that we need to state should be updated, so we can decide and do that one. Next, it is executed should component update, and then we can define whether it is which should be updated render or not. Updated or not. Then call render and get it snapshot before the update executed, and finally component did updated. Other one is unmounting. Actually, when in this situation, component will unmount function will be executed only, so others are not executed. This is the one of the major scenario how the component will survive within the application. So when the developer is writing the code, we have to they have to keep in mind the steps and the which steps are used in the which stage. Think that is this is the reference I use for this presentation. And so let's go to the demo. I think Amila will do that one, how to write the code. Okay, thank you. Amila, can you?
I'm going to create a simple project to getting basic idea about the lifecycle method. So the project I have created is using React app, which is start app. Starter thing, you can get the all the things you need to create a React project. The timer one will be something like calculating numbers and showing it to in a web browser. So that's more it is, but it is how we are describing that lifecycle methods. So I will start my coding. First we have to create state thing. So I'm not going to create a constructor. Without constructor, we can define a state. And already I have created this project. I think we have limited time, so I will copy some part of the coding to explain this. So component demand, where you can send API calls, put the timers, like it's something like you can do like side effect. You can do a side effect to the that global state. In the component demand, you can do a side effect. So that's the basic thing. So in the timer it will call every second. So I will change state one by one with every second. And as I said, this is the good place to set timers in the component mount, but we have to remove the timer. Without removing that, this will be when the application gets huge, this will be going to be a big headache to the application. So I have to remove when the component that removing from the DOM. So the function we are using for that is component will unmount. It will trigger when the unmount process before the unmount process happens. I said that we don't have to use constructor and bind this subject to the context. So if you want to write that without the binding your functions and those things, you have to use arrow functions. So it will automatically bind to this object. So you have to write like this.
So advantage is we can omit that constructor functionality, because with the rapid changes with the React releases, they have identified some latest releases of the JavaScript releases. So based on that one, they have they could have been able to remove the constructor, and instead of that one, they can get the benefit of the ES6 features. So therefore, that's the reason we can remove the constructor here. So and here you can see Amila has already assigned the state directly. So actually, it is called it works as a constructor, and the method binding it's not required, because if we are using an arrow function as a ES6 format, so then the React can understand that situation and will do binding internally.
As Ndula explained, get derived state from props will be executed before component render. So each time before render, this get derived state from props will be triggered if the in props counts and or if the state changes. This is the smallest application that we have explained in the slide very much. So it will automatically count in if you, without unmounting and clear the timer, will be going to be some headache to your application. So that's why we are clearing that. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah. I think, thank you, Amila. I think he has written some React application. He has used the commonly used the lifecycle method, because these are the most important one and we are highly commonly used one. Others are required but very rarely. So I think if the knowledge and the knowledge about this method will be very helpful to any developer to start or continue the React learning. That's it. Thank you. And is there any questions?
Seems like no questions. So thank you Didula and Amila for this knowledge adding session. So thank you everyone for taking part. Have a nice day.